has sparked national concern, and that is the proposed protest by the Nigerian Labour Congress over the recent 50% hike in telecommunications tariffs, which has now been suspended. Following consultations between the NLC and key stakeholders, an agreement was reached leading to the decision to suspend the planned industrial action. But what were the reasons behind the protest? What does the suspension mean for Nigerian workers and consumers, and beyond telecom tariffs? How do other price hikes across different sectors impact the everyday Nigerian? Joining us this morning is Comrade Ismail Ishola Adijumo. He is a Public Relations Officer of the NLC and Chairman of the Radio, Television, Theatre and Arts Workers Union, Ratau, Lagos State Council, and he'll be giving us, first-hand insights into the NLC stance, the details of the agreement, and what lies ahead of Nigerian workers in the face of rising costs. You're welcome.
Thank you for having me, ma. My pleasure always.
Okay, the NLC had initially, declared its intention to protest the 50% hike in telecom tariffs. What were the primary reasons behind this decision?
Thank you very much. Before now, you agree with me that the government have not been, carrying the labor leadership along in most of the policies. Most especially if you look at the ongoing the tax reform bill that the government proposed, as good and as beautiful as it is, the labor leadership, who is the largest of all a kind of a pressure group or a larger organization in the whole of Africa, are not carried along. And that caused a lot of disaffection among big just stakeholders, most especially in the other part of the country, the northern part. So the labor leadership quickly switched into action to engage the government that we are stakeholders. We need to have a national dialogue along this line so that we know the intent and the purpose of this policy, how it's going to benefit the public, and the effect of it in the first instance, in the medium, and in the long time. So if all these are put together and we have a robust discussion and we agree, all parties will key into it. Now, we are not done with that. The national leadership was still planning to organize a national dialogue in Ibadan along this line. The government came up again with another 50% hike in telecom tariff. This is very, very insensitive at this time when Nigeria are struggling to survive. Even the so-called minimum wage that they approved for us today has been highly eroded by inflation. Nobody can easily proud of a decent living as a public servant. Purchasing power has been very, very low, abysmally low. People are struggling to survive. So enough of this. The president has promised us that we should allow Nigerians to breathe. But now they have suffocated everybody. At this point now, I think they are attempting to strangulate us. So, and the labor is the only voice for the voiceless. So we have to come out and tell the government that, come, we need to know the rationale, the integrity behind this policy. How is it going to benefit the masses? Although everybody knows that the data and the airtime is the life of an average Nigerian. Most youth who don't have work, they engage themselves in meaningful engagement through online. They buy data, they use airtime. So how you now just come overnight and increase from that level to 50%? That is too high, and that is why Labour said no. If you are to start at all, let's do an incremental model of increase. You can start with 5%. Then people will discuss around it that, okay, the stakeholder, the telecom operators are complaining that there is high cost of living. The inflation is high. They too have to buy diesel, they have to run their equipment and everything. They have to pay their staff. The so-called minimum wage, definitely we know there will be need for an adjustment, but not sudden. At this time when Nigerians are struggling to survive. So I think that is what informed our decision to stage a protest, to go to all the locations of telecom operators and NCC, National Communication Commission, and lay our demand to express our displeasure, our grievances to this obnoxious policy. That is very untimely. No matter how good it is, it's untimely. Nigeria cannot tolerate it at this time.
Okay, from what you have said earlier, you have mentioned the fact that government should have carried the labor union along, and even if there was going to be an increment, it should have been a gradual one. But some Nigerians are also asking that, look, who exactly is the target? Is it the federal government? Is it the telecoms? That some are saying that the target should be federal government that should provide an enabling business environment for them, and not just the telecoms.
Thank you very much. As much as we want to put the blame on the decks of the government, because they are the regulators. The telecom operators are businessmen. They are out there to maximize profit under whatever guise. We have been seeing series of their reports, annual reports. They are making humongous amount of money in this country, because Nigeria is the largest market for telecom operator in the whole of Africa. And more are still coming. Most of these private telecom companies, as much as they are complaining, they are still coming, expanding their business. So government should come out with an enabling legislative framework that will bring a kind of succor, especially at this critical time, to these operators, to ensure that they are not taking their tax or their increment at a percentage that will strangulate or infringe on ownership on Nigeria, that we cannot afford it. So that is why we believe that it should be a kind of win-win. Government should have called them to a round table, agree with the labor, and canvass that, okay, for this first quarter of this year, we are starting with, or the first 2 quarters of this year, we are starting with maybe 5% increase. Let's see how it goes. And if inflation reduces and some other parameters that inform their increase also have a kind of consideration, then they will all, everybody will know, will be in the know. Not something that they will shade in secrecy and just come overnight and say, okay, we are giving 50% hike in tariff. So they will deny Nigerians free means to communicate. Because communication is very key. Data is not only used for chatting, it's used to create content. Most of our youth now today, you see them on TikTok creating a source of content to earn a living. So you are not creating more jobs, and the little space where they have to get engaged and make legitimate earning, you are making it difficult. So the government is not doing the right thing. So, and I think the operators now, sitting down with the government, they have already reached an agreement that there should be a technical committee to look at the models proposed by them and see how they can, you understand, come to terms with them and give them a kind of palliatives. If government should subsidize communication, I don't think it is too much. Electricity now is at the corner. They are already bringing all sorts of bans to us, which people cannot survive with. So the tax regime is just too unbearable. The government should do a kind of holistic review of it, because the feedback is not palatable. People are not finding it easy. And they should not let Nigerians get to a point whereby they will lose confidence in the leadership.
That is why some Nigerians are now saying that they feel that the suspension happened too quickly. So how do you respond to concerns that the NLC backed down too quickly?
No, we don't back down. What we proposed was a protest, peaceful protest. It's different from strike action. It's different from picketing. We have different instruments in the labor movement to press home our demand. This is just a kind of preamble. We want to go out there. It's not only workers that the increment is going to affect. It's Nigerians in general. And we are not alone in this protest. All the civil society organizations, they have already mobilized. As of yesterday night, you can see my voice was a bit close. So we are on the verge of mobilizing. That we are coming out for this time to let Nigerians know, and the government should hear it loud and clear, that we are not happy with this policy. They should revert it. And I believe they are being very, very sensitive. That's why they call the leadership to a round table. And in industrial relation, once there is an issue on the table and your employer or the stakeholder invites you to a parley or dialogue, we have to listen to them and look at the issue holistically. What are the gains and the merits? So when we look at it critically, that they have shifted ground, that there should be a kind of a joint committee of government and the labor to work out the framework, then it is incumbent on us, and it behoves on us as a responsible, organized labor movement to shift ground and suspend our action. So why we give them 2 weeks to submit their report, barely any other disappointment, we will be forced to invoke other instruments.
Okay, you said that the telecoms industry are making, making a lot of money,
yes,
despite all their
complaints,
so which they have, as they have defended the increase, they've cited operational cost from, from the NLC's perspective now. Do you think this justification holds weight? Because it's not just the telecoms that has, increased their tariffs. We've had it from the electricity. We've even had it from food. So, do you feel the justification?
Honestly speaking, and frankly speaking, we have dissected this issue severally, and we've looked at it from both sides on merit. And that is why our leaders there, they are very, very, tactical, and they are intelligent set of people who do a lot of research. Because we have series of departments in the NLC. We have research department and analysis. They do market survey. We know what is going on. We know the rate of inflation, about 34%. So what business are you going to do? At this level, look at the interest rate in banks. If you want to even borrow to do any business, it's not friendly. So all sorts of parameters are negatives that we hate their smooth business. And I think that's what informed why the leadership quickly, considered that there is need for a robust debate around this issue, so that we can come up with an amicable resolution that will be acceptable to all Nigerians, and they will bear the brunt for the time being, pending when the economy will improve. If the economy improves, we expect them. The forces of demand and supply will surely force the price down. We know when this telecom company started, some people are selling SIM card then as expensive as 50,000. I could remember vividly. But with the proliferation of the telecom sector and the stiff competition in the industry, it has forced the price down. And I think that was why the president was talking about this free market economy system in the petroleum industry, so that there will be a kind of competition. It will not be a monopolistic market. And I believe as we move forward, everybody will see reason, because they are into business. We cannot allow them to run into loss. And anybody who is in business, that the business cannot even break even, not to talk of making profit, they are bound to pack up. So many companies have folded up in Nigeria. They have moved to another place because of unfriendly business environment. So that's what government should be sensitive about, and look at area of giving them palliatives. They should give them some tax holiday. The tax is too much. Everything, tax. Where is the money they are mopping up? Where is it? It's not impacting the life of Nigerians. People are suffering. Even every month we hear they are sharing billions, trillions to the state and local government. What impact has it had on our life? And any government that is in power that does not make greater happiness for the greater number is zero.
So with the rising inflation and of course wage, stagnation, so how is NLC now advocating for better living conditions for Nigerian workers? Because every day there is a price hike in everything, and the wage is still the same.
Stagnant. Thank you very much, ma. We are very mindful of this. And that is why if you listen and monitor our activities in the last few months, you observe that we are also calling for a wage review. That the wage we negotiated for 70,000, it is abysmally low, and it is not sustainable. It is on.
Some of us are not even receiving
even
it yet.
For those who are even affected in the media sector, you know what we have done in the last few weeks to press the government that the image maker, the fourth estate of the realm, the media who project your policies and programs, who make public to know what you are doing, are being shortchanged in this Lagos state. This is very uncalled for. That's why we don't enjoy going on strike. We don't enjoy shutting down stations. But when we are forced to do it, to press our demand and let government understand what we are facing, then how can you imagine workers in the media sector like Lagos here, not earning the 70,000, not even the 85,000 as approved by the governor?
True.
It's very, very absurd. It's unacceptable. And that is why we stood our ground to fight it long, and we have almost getting into an agreement with them to at least do our bit.
So what do you think?
Migrate everybody to the same payment platform. Let everybody have access to their uniform payment and regular payment. So that will guarantee equity and justice. But anything short of that, it is a great injustice on them, and it will dampen their morale of working. So media workers should be treated, even we at the national level, we are advocating for special media worker salary. MSM, we call it special media salary structure. for workers, apart from the normal civil servants who are working in the, we don't have public holiday in the media.
No.
We don't have
We're here.
we work 24 hours.
Monday to Sunday, no public
Yes,
holidays.
everybody work around the clock, and
sometimes 24 hours.
So you have to work and earn based on the peculiarity of your job. There are a lot of hazard in the media work environment.
Exactly.
All this will be factored into the allowances so that people here can be well treated and be motivated to do their work better. So these are many more conditions of service we are working for. Every sector that are challenged. In the health sector, the pensioners who are having issue of not paying them the commensurate, because if you look at the inflation, some people retire today, after whatever disengagement, what they are earning on a monthly basis is abysmally low as even 30,000, 40,000. Exactly. How can they pay school fees? How can they feed with it? So the pension benefit should also be reviewed as the inflation is rising. So we have looked at a holistic of issues that are bordering on the welfare and well-being of Nigerian workers, and we are coming gradually with solutions by engaging government constructively and see reason why the workers who create the wealth of the nation should be well treated.
True.
That will reduce corruption. Because if they are not well treated, you see them indulging in all sorts of illegitimate means, dealings, which is affecting the government revenue. But if everybody is fairly treated, you have a good wage, a good working environment, definitely you'll be motivated and put in your best.
Okay. You know, some critics have argued that, this protest, these strikes, they're quite impactful, but they do not give the Nigerians a long and suitable solution. Why do you think Nigerians are saying that? Because look at the time we agreed on the 70,000 naira minimum wage, which was in April. I think that was April to 2024. Look at us today. We're back to square one.
Thank you very much. You see, in the labor movement, we say freedom comes by struggle. No employer, no any employer of labor or government will give you what you want freely. You have to struggle for it. Go historically. Sure. We have even struggled for so many things as benefit to our member. Must we always struggle? Should we always struggle? It is a question for government to answer. They know the right thing to do. If you are to compare workers in Nigeria and other African countries, you can see the disparity in pay, in condition of living, and all other benefits that is supposed to come to them. So we will be drawing inferences and be giving them comparative analysis that, okay, in Nigeria, let's take Ghana, for instance, as a case study. Is our wage commensurate with what they are earning there? It's below expectation and standard. You deliberately impoverish your working force, and you said they should not indulge in corruption. That will be a cankerworm that will continue to bring the government down. But the moment the workers are well motivated, well remunerated, well catered for, definitely the economy will strive and there will be productivity in the economy. Nobody is a lazy, want to be indulging in laziness or something that will not, give the desired outcome for government. But they should to look into the welfare and well-being of the workers. If they do that, productivity will increase and more money will come to government cover. They'll be able to take care of the infrastructural need of the public beyond the payment of salaries. And for the working people and the public in general, we have few instruments we use in the labor movement. We are pressing for demand, pressing for a particular issue. We come by notice. We come through meetings. We engage them. We give them ultimatum. We now come into picketing. At times we go to street protests, like what we do to press for this. At times we will do what we call down tooling. We will be at work. We will not work. You understand me? Before we now resort to the last instrument, which we don't like to invoke, and that is strike. And that is the only language government understands. So if we are forced, no option than to use that instrument, how should people now hold us to ransom and begin to blame us? But before we arrive to strike action, look at what happened in LTV. We give them 21 days ultimatum, after which we give 14. Later on, we give 7. They did not listen to us. They take us for granted. That what are we going to do? This is where we are all workers here, we are stakeholders. We have to down too and shut down everywhere. Now, they listen and begin to feel that maybe we have ulterior motive. We don't have ulterior motive. Our motive is to see to the progress and development of the government of the day. And we salute our governor, Mr. Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu. But we don't know the advisor and the people around who are trying to misinterpret all this, our intention to them, that they should listen and hear to the yearnings and the kind of the people, so that the government will enjoy the confidence of the people. But anything short of that, you see the adverse effect. It will cripple the revenue that's supposed to come to the government. For not being on air a day, you know how much you are going to lose. Airtime is very, very perishable. And it is money. To be on air now, a lot of money, you have to burn diesel, you have to do all sorts of things. So government should listen at the right time, diesel. And people should not blame the labor for going on strike when government forces us to go on strike. True. I think it's a very sensible and reasonable thing. Okay. We don't enjoy doing it.
Okay, beyond tariff hikes and, of course, agitations, do the labor unions have consultations with business owners, civil society and policymakers, to always create a more sustainable solution, like everyday talks? I don't mean every day in the word of it, but do you come together to have consultations, before any price hike in any of the sectors?
The reason why we vehemently resist this one was because the labor leadership was not carried along. If we are carried along, that be an issue. We are the one that represent the working people of Nigeria. We understand the policy framework, the implementation framework, that is so important and pertinent at this time to implement. We have the obligation to cascade that policy to our members, debate it with them and let them understand that though it's a bitter pill, let us bear it. In the long run, it's going to benefit us. There are a lot of consultation ongoing. And there have been series of dialogue. We call for town hall meeting. At times, the National Assembly, we call for public hearing. We attend. We tell them our position. Like when the issue of minimum wage was on, in Blue Revere, we came for public hearing. All stakeholders were here. Employer of labor in the private and public. Before we arrive at 70,000. Even the 70,000 has been eroded by inflation. Exactly. It's nothing to write home about. We cannot pack a bag of rice with 70,000 today. And government have not been sincere in implementing the consequential adjustment. Consequential adjustment is the bedrock of salary payment, because from grade level to grade level, they are supposed to be at least increment that will show that, okay, you are promoting from this level, something reasonable you are earning. How will you be promoted from an assistant manager to a manager, and the difference of your salary promotion should not be less than 5,000?
5,000.
It's very, very absurd.
Sometimes 1,000.
So what have you really labored for the years you have been in service, that you have put in your best to earn the promotion, and what you are getting in return for that hard-earned reward should now be abysmally low. It's demoralizing. So those are the areas we want government to look into, be more open and more transparent, carry the labor along. There won't be problem. There will be industrial peace and harmony.
Okay, talking about this demoralizing state of Nigerian workers, they often feel powerless in the state of these hikes. What advice do you have for them in regarding their rights and ways of, to push, fairer policies?
I said something earlier on, that policies of government are what government chooses to do or not to do. Generally, that's policy. So the policy intention, the intent and purpose of bringing a particular policy ab initio must be well debated, must be well crafted along stakeholders who will have a buy into it. So that if it's going to inflict some pain, because there is no pain without gain, we know that for sure. It's like you want to cook a good soup. You must invest into it. You're going to spend a lot of money. So good infrastructure, good education, it requires a lot of money. Government needs to generate more revenue. How will you generate revenue? It's not about going about multiple taxation, taxing people from left and right. It is being a lot of untold hardship. You have to look at ways and means. The natural resources are there. Are they harnessing it judiciously? Are they deploying it equitably? Those are the issues. So that people will have confidence in the people in government. That our commonwealth, our resources, which God has endowed you with to manage, you are really giving good account of it. then the labor will now, based on that premise, demand for what is just and equitable and fair, not arbitrary or unreasonable demand. We are reasonable people, we are intellectuals, we reason, we know the challenges of governance, and we know that government needs money, and as much money is coming in, it should reflect in the life of the people.
Okay, what's your take on when some are saying that, you know, the Labour have lost their power, that they do no longer have, you know, that you do not have that strength in pushing for workers' rights?
That is totally wrong and unacceptable. As we speak today in Nigeria, you agree with me that the only voice for the voiceless, for common man, that can stand and galvanize support across the 36 states and FCT is the labor movement, NLC, followed by TUC. Even the so-called civil society that we started this struggle to fight the military for military enthronement have all gone to sleep. All of them are portfolio civil society organizations. I can say it boldly. They are portfolio. Once they are settled, you see them with the fizzle out. It's only the labor movement that is unintimidated. We are rugged, we are dogged, we believe in the progress of this country, and we never compromise. For those who have lost confidence in the labor movement, I don't know where they derive their analysis from. When we see that there is reason for us to shift ground, we shift ground. It is acceptable in industrialization. When there is reason for us to continue to push forward, we continue to push. But Nigerians are so, you know, people, how will I rate Nigerians that we are not too patient, we are too, you know, quick at judging people, cast aspersion on leadership. What they think they are doing is what they would think others are doing. Say some leader want to go and collect bribe. From who? We are selfless servants. We have committed to this struggle. It's not about money. How much are they paying us? Am I a rich man? I'm not a rich man. But we have chosen and we have taken a calling to fight for our member. And whatever injury or whatever hazard that goes with it, we stand to withstand it. So anybody who is also saying we are not doing fine, let them come up and do their own protest. Let them come and do their own mobilization to challenge the authority and see where they will find themselves. Those who have tried it individually, see where they ended. But collectively, that's why we say there is power in unison. Solidarity, we say our workers united can never be defeated. Once we are united, we will achieve our aim. And Nigerian workers will continue to be united, will continue to be resolute, will continue to be rugged and be dogged to fight anytime for our rights.
My colleague, Abimbola, you know, has a question for you. You can watch her here. Okay.
I know that you've spoken about the power of dialogue and why it is important for government and labor to always come to a round table. But my worry is this: must government always wait for labor to call out a protest before dialogue, you know, before a table is set for dialogue to commence?
Thank you very much. We have always said that we are open to dialogue. Dialogue, negotiation are the major instruments to reach an agreement. I will give you a kind of, if you recall vividly, the last strike action we embarked here in the broadcast sector of Lagos State. Before we embark on that strike, we have been talking to government. We have been writing a series of letters. We've been calling for a meeting to let them know what we are facing, the pains and agony of our colleagues in this sector. That is unbearable. But they take us for granted. And we're still giving them ultimatum from 21 days to 14 days to 7 days. It was the tail end of the 7 days. They're now saying, if we go on strike, there will be no pay, no work. Who says so? If there is no pay, no work, it is you are paid salary based on the work you have done. But we have not done this. We are telling you that we want you to address our fundamental demand. You agree with me? Government waited and tried to test our level of elasticity and our doggedness. To the third day, because we said we were going on 3-day warning strike. We did the first day, they were not listening to us. We did the second day. It was the third day in the evening that they brought us a notice for a meeting the following day. I get to my point now. Who is at fault? We are here, we are open. When they brought the letter of invitation, we attend to the meeting. We discuss on the general principle of our demand. They give their own argument. we discuss it, and we're able to agree and say, okay, this matter should be represented for onward transmission to the Mr. Governor for implementation. As a matter of urgency, we are watching, we are still waiting. Within this time frame now, we are going to have some dialogue and retreat, because oftentimes we go and retreat with government to discuss sensitive issue. So at this kind of fora, we should have seen and be privy to some sensitive policy issues that will come up and affect members. And we'll be able to pick from there and begin to debate it among ourselves and say, okay, what concession can we do? Okay, let's begin to intimate and sensitize our member in this regard that this is coming, so that it will not come to us as sudden and people will now begin to resist. So it's on the part of government, not Labour. Labour is always open to dialogue. And calling to that, to buttress it, is why when they called us yesterday, the leadership, for a meeting, overnight. They always like overnight meeting. So the Labour leadership have to listen and hear them out. So that they will not say we are dogmatic, we are not ready for dialogue, we have ulterior motive, or we are politically motivated. That is totally wrong.
Okay. Very quickly, again, you know, like you said, Nigerians are very special people. And sometimes when you think that, you know, you're actually fighting for the rights of Nigerians, at some point you'll say, whoa, let us take it like that. And so this 50% increment, you've also agreed that, you know, the business owners, you know, they also have bills to pay, they have workers to pay, but this 50% is too much. So you also want to negotiate with government to bring it further and maybe, you know, come to an agreement as to. So is there a percentage that Labour is asking for?
Thank you very much. Before we set for this protest, in our communique that was released, we gave a caveat that at least if there will be any increment for now, it should not be more than 5%.
More than 5%?
No, more than 5%. It shouldn't be.
At least for
sensitive,
now.
to be sensitive to the plight of Nigerians, considering what we are going through now. A lot of pains, a lot of family are going through a lot that can, in fact, unimaginable things going on in some families have already split. There's a lot of payment of bills. Electricity bills is there. Telecom is coming. A lot of outrageous multiple taxations near and there. So how will you now come at this time and tell us to come and increase telecom, which is the only means Nigerians communicate and do some legitimate business freely within the comfort of their home? Now want to restrict us from having free access to communication without any palliative. I think it's very insensitive. We believe if they start it on incremental mode by starting with 5%, it's still reasonable. People will say, okay, truly, the last time they said they had an increment for tariff on telecom was maybe around 2012 or 2013, thereabout. So we know it's over a decade, and considering all the economic dynamics and everything, it's calls for a review. But the review should not be outrageous. This is too outrageous. It's unacceptable. So
now, how does the NLC now balance, you know, the need for fair pricing with the reality of today?
You know, what we operate as a country is free market economic system. We are not a military regime. The government will only try through their structural framework to do what we call subsidy. You know, in the area of rice production, beans, and some other, they open what we call grain reserve to push out more food so that it will fall down the price of commodity in the market. If you look at it now, as at the last market survey we carried out, the price of some grains now are coming down gradually, if I'm correct. So, and some other staple food, which is, you know, the major demand of Nigerians to sustain. So I think if their policy is so consistent and they are, you know, following up with it gradually, it will fall down the price, because the forces of demand and supply is what determine price in a free market economy. Unlike in a regulated economy whereby government will determine price of goods and services. We are not operating in such economy. So it is very difficult for the government at the federal, state, and local to go into the market and tell you, okay, you cannot sell tomato beyond this price. There was a time we bought tomato, maybe 3 pairs of tomato for almost 500 naira, if you remember. There was a time recently when one bunch of onions was sold as high as 200 naira. But today, with the maybe some bumper harvest that was recorded, it has really pushed down the price a bit. So we are monitoring things in the market. That's why I told you in NLC, we have a department for research and analysis that conduct market survey from time to time, so that we'll be able to know where we are really suffering, because Nigerian workers must go to market to buy. If they buy at a high price and they are earning so low, then it's not commensurate. Where they end up to strike the balance. Somebody who is earning 50,000 or below 70,000 that we are still contemplating now, and you want him in a family of 4, you cannot buy at least more than half bag of rice to survive.
So what's your message to Nigerian workers who are still looking up to the NLC for hope and representation?
At this point, I want to salute the courage, the doggedness, the resilience, the patience, and the sense of patriotism of Nigerian workers to have keep faith with this government to this level. That despite series of provocation, obnoxious policies and anti-masses policies, we are still very, very resilient and going about our normal businesses, hoping that the Renew Hope agenda will really give us the result. I can only salute them and urge them to remain patient and be steadfast as the labor intensify the struggle, and we will surely believe victory will be ours across board. That's my message.
Thank you very much, Comrade Ismail Ishola Adejumo, for this critical insights with us today. He's the PRO NLC Lagos State Chairman Ratawu, and we'll be talking about the NLC NLC protest, those suspended on Telecom tariff increment. The program continues after this short break.